If you can move the table a little bit to there.
So I'll do this.
Medium?
Yeah.
Medium. The clam, medium. And topping, rib.
Two.
Clam, medium. And rib topping.
Rib? Okay, rib topping. So you want this one here?
Yeah.
So he wants the medium
Okay.
rib with the topping. Rib
Okay.
for him.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll grab the shrimp. Medium. And then
Yeah.
medium.
Yeah.
And what's the topping?
Here.
Yeah, but what is the topping?
It's, you can eat clam, oyster, rib, or shrimp.
Yeah, but topping, what does that mean? What topping?
An extra portion.
Ah, okay. Well, so you got rib.
As a topping.
Yeah, okay, so what you could have done is got the clam, that one there. You know what I mean? Because it's got the...
Yeah, I got two different.
Oh.
Clams and then a little bit of rib as a topping.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what that, I think that's what that is there. Yeah. So you got clam and rib together.
Ah, yeah, okay. So two are exactly the same.
Yeah, shrimp, medium. Yeah. Come on.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Không nô này, nô. Okay.
Same.
Nghe sườn đây mà.
As long.
That's why I asked him about the topping, whether it was like
Right.
something else.
They have it on the menu.
Yeah,
with topping.
Yeah. But that it was plenty of combination there anyway. But that's actually pretty unique. Like, yeah. The food is pretty unique.
There is this guy of Vietnamese descent that brought us here.
Yeah.
And I ate it already like 5-6 times.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Soul food.
Soul food. Yeah. Well, it's funny because like the translation they put like comes out English porridge. Or like it's the hardest thing, isn't it? In the translation between English and Vietnamese, I think there's a lot of words that are not
Doesn't exist. You have to make it up.
Yeah, and then when you translation something, they look at you really, and you got to make sure you get it correct. Or also too, when you put in the translator, you try and keep it as basic as possible so it can get translated. Because I was talking to this girl, it was weird, and her English was just as good as they, unfortunately not very good, and it was just crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
And she's the boss. She has some young people here that double as well. There are 2 girls, they go to college.
Yeah.
And then they make a little money here being waitress.
Yeah.
And whatever you tell them, you get the blank stare. Like a big question mark in that.
Yeah. It's hard because you're really not a perfect country, but when you're in a tourist area and it's when they haven't, they can't speak any sort of basic English. It's hard, isn't it?
And the food here is excellent.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been here half a dozen times if I don't really like the food.
Yeah.
But communication is so difficult.
Yeah.
And I'm now here in Vietnam for 2 months.
Yeah.
And it's slowly getting to me.
Yeah.
You're telling something, like you said, you think, how can I tell what I want to have in the most simple way?
Yeah.
And it still doesn't work.
Yeah. I met an Australian guy down the beach, and he's married. He's been married to a Vietnamese woman for I think it was over 10 years, and he lives down the next beach, the main city beach, which is another, I think it's 200 kilometres south, 250 kilometres south.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
That's
it's
natural.
no. The train's halfway between here and it's halfway between here and the train.
Okay.
So it's about but it's another
Cooling on.
yeah, another beach area. But he has it's called a kangaroo bar or something like that. But he said he's got like an Australian bar there.
Mm.
But he said there's no real expats in the town, like, you know, so locals come. But yeah, he said the hardest thing for him was with the workers. They like, even you did, like you went beer, point to a beer, and you went two. They didn't even understand, like.
Yeah.
And he said it was really, there's just the way that they've been taught or grown up. There's no sort of bit complicated deductive reasoning. There's no sort of logic in some ways.
Right.
Because I've done it here a lot of times, and I've gone, like, we just pointed to the beer and just went like two. You know what I mean? And it's like, what do you mean? And it's that's hard, you know, like, and it's not. It's just sort of just that cultural difference, you know. I don't know what it is. It's just the way they get taught, or
Well, they do things differently.
yeah, for sure, yeah. But it's when you like from a logic point of view, which that idea of logic, when you don't understand the culture, you come from a point of view of you're ignorant to that.
There's
That
another
sort of
thing.
things.
I mean,
Yeah.
pointing on a beer and say two
Yeah,
is pretty obvious. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that Vietnamese people that would have their brain functioning
Yeah.
would get it. The guy wants two
yeah.
beer. It's like.
Cô đi ngồi vào ấm phòng.
Exactly.
It's like Vietnamese people that have very few contact with foreigners.
Yeah.
Like you say, in a small town, they block. Oh, foreigner. I will not be able to understand him.
Yeah,
And then you make
true.
a simple gesture like this,
Yeah.
and they just block.
Yeah.
They have a mental
Yeah.
block, and it's not like they
That's like
can.
in front of them. That's really good.
If a Vietnamese that can speak, a mute Vietnamese would point them to beers,
Yeah.
they would get it.
Oh, he's a bitch. You
Cô đi ngồi
know.
vào ấm.
I love the basil.
So move. Sit here.
Extra basil, please.
It's really cool.
I tried. This language is book with 7 seals to me.
Well, somebody was explaining to me a particular word, right? There was a word like it was mango. I think it's like mango. So, but the word in the language, the word there's 3 different words. There's 3 different fruits or whatever for the same word, and it's just the tone. It's just the tone thing.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
Thank you, sir. I love this.
Does that make a big difference? I'm not sure. Yeah, Germany would like porridge.
Yeah. It's not that common as in England, but yes, you eat it when you're sick.
I absolutely love porridge. Absolutely love it. Honey, usually honey. I actually make it here. Usually buy the rolled oats here. You can get it for easy, obviously. There must be noodles like that, like this. It's really nice. And yeah, I love it.
How do you like it?
Really nice.
It's good, no?
Yeah, it's very. It's nice and thick, and it's not like basil's nice in it too.
There's more an extra portion.
It's I don't know. It's very the consistency is real good. This is the thing about travel, isn't it? It's like you meet people and then they've gone somewhere that you might like. I would walk past you. You know, I mean that's the thing is you meet people. It's funny. I met a girl here, Vietnamese girl. We got on a ride, and then we went out for something to eat, but she brought me to the sea bar. Yeah, here, like I'm thinking, I wanted to go somewhere not westernised. You know, it's actually quite local, but it's more expensive. But it's a pretty good price. It's good, really good food there.
Simba is a giant, nice place. You
Yeah.
see the fish pond in
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
The thing is, they do have ashtrays on the tables inside. It's
Yeah.
invitation to smoke. So my first visit there was my last.
Oh, okay. I've been there a couple of times, and the food's really, really good. And the funny thing is, like the draft beer, Uda, is 50,000, but the can's 30,000. So you buy the can like. Yeah. Anyway, we went there, and most Western women a lot of times don't drink much. Vietnamese women don't really drink at all.
It's changing the young generation.
Mm-hmm.
The society is getting a little bit more affluent. They're spending money.
I think I was saying 70% of the population is either under 30 or under 40.
Very young.
It's not there. Because obviously because of the war and that sort of stuff. And there's 100 million people here, so.
They marry young and they have children young.
Yeah, then they get divorced.
Or the husband runs away from single moms.
No. I think they just don't like the way they get treated. That's what I found out. They sort of don't and that's why a lot of them like, I mean obviously the like Western men because they want more money. It helps, but they tend to like the Western men because they get treated better. As well. And I've spoken on that, a lot of them don't even want to date Vietnamese men. And I spoke to one of my girlfriend's Filipina. She's the girls in the Philippines and one of them, the same thing with the Filipino men.
Oh, that's very pronounced there. If a girl is smart, she stays away from a Filipino. If she has any brain, she stays away from Filipinos.
It's very bad from a point of view for the culture, you know, as well. It's all right. It's all right to have a little bit, like mix, but you can't just like imagine like all the 50% of the women just marrying Westerns, whatever they, Germans, whatever, Australian, Americans, Canadians, whatever. Eventually the whole culture would be. I suppose during the war, I suppose after the war and all that sort of stuff, the Americans based there, I suppose. I saw that. Actually, I went to we saw, I'm not really in the theatre, but she's in the theatre, so I'm in the theatre. So I went to see Miss Saigon. And it's nearly all the people in it, or nearly all of them are Australian, you know. So the production's Australia and all this sort of stuff. But the original Miss Saigon was with the main lady is Filipino.
And the actress.
Yeah,
And playing of
Vietnamese. Yeah. They found the original, the very first Miss Saigon when they did the stage thing was Filipino. And that And but there's still a bit of Philippine in there, but they're Philippine Australian and also Vietnamese Australian and mixed and all sorts of stuff in the new production. And but predominantly some of those stage shows are Australian like productions. There's another one we went and saw about is it Henry VIII or whatever, his wives, the 6 wives, what's it, is it Henry VIII or anyway, there's the 6, it's called the 6. It's the 6 wives, I mean, and all that. It's quite a good production, but it's just like one lady's Scottish, and it's an Australian production again. But what I learned from it, the Miss Saigon was that there's a charity or this group set up for the kids that are mixed, that were to reconnect them with their fathers and that sort of stuff after the war. And there's quite a lot. And the kids are obviously they're mixed. They're beautiful kids, you know, with a mixed race.
But when the Norse took over, there were years where these kids were ostracized.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when I'm talking about the Philippines, like the Philippines after the war, because I was based there. You know, obviously Vietnamese, similar thing happened as well. But this was about the Philippines and obviously Vietnam, yeah. But this is after World War II. Talking about after World War II. And that sort of stuff. So
In the Philippines, mixed children are not that obvious sometimes because they're already mixed.
yeah, Spanish, yeah.
And Chinese.
It's true. And Chinese. I suppose, yeah. The Vietnamese don't, they're not really fond of the Chinese here.
I think that eased down in the last couple of years. I remember that just 4 years after the Americans left, the Chinese tried to invade.
Aha. Is that what happened? I didn't know that.
I can imagine the government said, oh, not again.
Well, what is it? The Chinese occupied for 1,000 years, the French for 200, and the ones that did the most damage for 5 years were the Japanese. And they wiped out their whole written language. That's why their written language is like French. There's no records of their original Vietnamese language. They've still got the verbal spoken language, but their own alphabet. But yeah, the written language is different than not the original written. It's not the original written language. It's been mixed in French. That's why it's got these little icons over the letters and all that sort of stuff.
At one point they had their own.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they had their own written language, obviously, and obviously the Japanese at the end of the war, towards the 1940 something, they occupied here.
Thanh toán thành công 65.000 đồng.
So again, how long you already here?
Almost 6 months.
How much longer?
Indefinitely.
You stay here.
Yeah. But I just want to do more traveling. So I'm going to the Philippines for Christmas. So I'm going to Ho Chi Minh and find I'm meeting Eileen down there because it was cheaper for her to fly from Singapore to Ho Chi Minh. Eileen, girlfriend, who she was in Singapore, and she's Filipino. But for her to fly direct to Noah is like it was ridiculous.
That gets complicated. You're an Australian, you're in Vietnam.
Yeah.
You have a Filipino girlfriend.
Lives in Singapore.
That lives in Singapore.
Yeah, very much so.
What does she do again?
She's a project manager. Yeah, she's like for a hotel company, for Marriott. So,
I was thinking on my way back home, I fly from Thailand back here for one night to Ho Chi,
yeah,
then I have a flight from Ho Chi Minh to Singapore,
yeah.
and there was a layover of 12 hours.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you're flying directly going to Bangkok? No?
I'm too old for that shit. So I decided throwing the ticket away and buying a new one from Bangkok to Frankfurt
Yeah.
comes out cheaper than if I would stay in Singapore, and the prices are like ridiculous.
Yeah.
A hotel room
Yeah.
is half the money than the ticket I got. I'm not gonna save myself all the hassle.
Yeah. That's the thing with Singapore is it's a really good hub to fly in and out of, but you don't really want to get off the plane.
Right.
Yeah, sort of like that. But whereas Ho Chi Minh, like, not that that's a hub, but it goes to a lot more places. And the flights are cheaper because there's a lot more flights per day and all that sort of stuff. So it's yeah, I mean obviously for Penang there's lots of flights to Penang, Bangkok. I did the same thing when I flew out of here on Vietjet to Bangkok. But yeah, then there's a lot of planes or companies flying out of Bangkok. I mean, you can go to Hong Kong and sort of not flying there and all that, but there's nowhere near as many of the companies fly out of Hong Kong as what they used to be, 30 years ago.
I looked at tickets, China and stop over in Chongqing.
Yeah.
What is the town? Oh, okay. It's not Beijing.
It's not in Beijing.
I don't know, whatever it is. I want to avoid going to mainland China. I've heard too many bad stuff.
Well, I saw a YouTube clip the other, just a day or two ago. I can't remember the name of the town, but they went to the largest Chinese city.
Chongqing or so.
Yeah, and they said like not many people go there. But it's the largest populace.
I've heard horror stories. If everything goes right, it's fine. It's cheap, it's efficient, but if something goes wrong, you need trouble. They don't help you. They don't feel the need. Like, here's a guy that don't understand our language. Let's help him along. Nobody helps you. You're screwed.
Yeah. And culturally, it's the same thing like when you're when you come across say people that I've met in Australia when you're in Australia, say Chinese or you come across tourists that are from countries that are highly populated, there's no personal space, and Australians, I've thought Australians I've gone, they go, and just push and I said, look, just can you imagine you live in a country with 100 million here in Vietnam, same sort of thing, poaching. So there's 40 million people or whatever, 30 million people living in Ho Chi Minh City or wherever it is, and you're all packed together. To get anything done or whatever, it's not like like in Australia where sort of you're walking outside and you keep this personal space and generally you get even in Sydney, like that's where I grew up. Even in Sydney, it's a city of like 5 million, 6 million people, and that's over a massive, like 80, 100 kilometre area.
Yep.
Sydney's sprawled like.
That's what I knew. I've never been there myself.
Yeah,
so that's what I heard from.
It's like LA. It's like LA. It's just sprawled.
Yeah. Whenever the city grew, it just annexed another borough.
Well, a lot of areas, except there's an area called Parramatta. That's sort of one of the other real CBD of Sydney. It's a bit further out. And there was a big restriction on building heights and all that sort of stuff all through Sydney. Unless it's near, they changed it a little bit, unless it's near the station, train station and things like that, because the train system's quite good in Sydney, in most areas, some areas not so much. like on the middle of the beaches, buses and ferries, but it's, the trains where I live and all that's really good, and some other areas of Sydney, the trains are really good. We've got double-decker trains, really good. We've had those for a long while, you know, since the 70s. They phased them out in the 70s, what we call the red rattlers. You can open windows, you can open the doors, and so it's like the, you know, the Bombay Express. It's almost like that, same thing. You know, really hard seats and, you know, and all that sort of stuff. And then we went to these nice silver sort of trains, double decking. You know, you walk in and there's a stairs go like this, up and down, and all sorts of stuff, and fit a lot more people. And that, so
it seems like the suburbs are sleep city, and then in the morning people rush to the centre to work.
Not so much, not as much now, because we had this thing where we, who used to live in the city, like, there's areas in the city, very much like I imagine Germany, but say the dock workers in like a place called Balmain, sort of in the city, sort of just outside, but it's very close to the city. You know, what at one stage was dock workers and all that, so very poor, you know, working class area is extremely snobby and expensive, and you know, has been for 20, 30 years, you know. But yeah, because of the proximity close to the city, and a lot of people didn't want to live in the city, then there was a massive change where, say, more Chinatown, a lot more Asian influence and high-rise apartments started to come up in the 90s and things like that. But they were trying to, the government tried to encourage people to live in the city and that sort of stuff. A lot of people would work in the city, but they'd sort of be around the city, if you know what I mean, in the suburbs around the city. Not far, like, you know, a lot of areas, like King's Cross and Darwin, some of those areas are quite good, and you can, a lot of areas you can literally walk to the city, maybe buses and whatever. But yeah, then there was a push to build big high-rises, just apartment buildings, all through the southern part of the city, away from what we call Circular Quay, towards the back end, around Chinatown, Darling Harbour. So Darling Harbour was all boat building and all that, and then it got changed, you know, shopping and restaurants revived, and there's another area where the container ships come in, that got all changed. That's right in the city. It's like 2 blocks away and totally refurbished. You know, so in 2000 Olympic Games, that was Dockland, and then they put the cruise ships in for accommodation for the 2000 Olympics, and then 10 years later they turned into parkland and all that area around here. It's really nice. Yeah, Sydney's a beautiful city. I love it. Yeah, I've been to like Singapore and New York. You know, lots of the major ports and cities by far. Not by far, I wouldn't say by far. You know, even Hong Kong. Sort of like, it's a bit like Hong Kong, and back in the day, a bit like that, but it's just a bit of the Opera House, the Harbour Bridge, and all that sort of stuff. It's beautiful, beautiful harbour. And there's lovely beaches in the harbour with white sand, and they're not man-made, it's just rural, that wasn't put there, it was white sand inside the harbour, and that sort of area, so it's really nice, yeah.
I heard people that said the city is really livable.
Yeah, very much so.
But then people said in the last couple of years it's become so ridiculously expensive.
Oh, it's always been expensive. Obviously, like most of the Western countries after COVID. Yeah, look, the reason with most, we'll put it this way, give me an idea. Before COVID, I sold my house, I sold my house for 1.317 million, right? And I pretty well owned it, the house.
Australian.
Yeah, Australian dollars. So that's about $1 million US. But that got divided into 2. But that house only 4 years earlier was 800,000.
Right.
Yeah, you know what
You
I mean?
said divided into 2 millions, you will be divorced?
Yeah, that's what I said, yeah. Well, split. I got split down, yeah, because my kids were like, when we divorced, my youngest was 18, so. Yeah, but that was, when we got divorced, I think the papers come through last year that we were separated since 2022, sorry. Yeah, but yeah, Yeah, Sydney's the most expensive city, obviously, because of money, work, and all that, and then Melbourne and Brisbane, that sort of stuff. But yeah, I was on the Gold Coast, which is about 90 kilometres south of Brisbane. Big beats. It's like the same thing.
Oh, we're rolling.
Cool.
So how do you manage if your girlfriend is tied up in Singapore and you don't want to stay there, obviously?
Yeah, no.
So it's a what do you say, a long distance relationship?
At the moment, yeah, obviously. Well, we've been discussing it in the last few days, and she's trying to get more remote work, but it's hard for her and that sort of stuff. And I said, look, I said to her, you know, Singapore's a lovely place, but it's not a place I really want to live.
Right.
You know,
you probably want to live there, but you can't.
Well, yeah, you need. It's the same as the West. You need a lot of money to live there properly.
Yeah.
Not in a HDB. The HDBs they're okay, but there's no balcony. There's nowhere where you just. Then I don't think they're very livable.
I've been in Singapore something like in 1983, and it was maybe double the price in Thailand. You don't want to stay there a whole month.
Yeah.
I stayed like a week, and I flew, and I came by train and bus all the way from Thailand.
Yeah.
And then I stayed there for a week. I was looking for a ticket, and I flew on to Jakarta.
Yeah.
And on the way back from Indonesia, I stayed again like 2-3 days, and then I took a bus to Malaysia.
Yeah.
It was doable.
Yeah.
Even as a backpacker at that time.
Yeah.
But today, prices are really ridiculous. I think they, in some aspect, they exceed what you spend in Australia.
Look, for what a lot of times for what you get in Australia in some areas, you get a pretty good house for your money. You know what I mean? It's still expensive, but relative to Singapore, you're not going to get as much as far as land area and quality and that sort of stuff.
Please.
Well, sure. It's all right.
Yeah, it's no consideration.
Yeah, I know. But I don't think she understands at all. But
well, she's the owner. I can.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell her to shut up.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's.
That's all right. I think it'll be right. I don't think the microphones will pick that up as much as you think.
Yeah, I don't. I'm gonna see later.
It's a good test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's throw it out if it doesn't work.
Singapore's is a beautiful city, but at the end of the day, it's man-made, and you know the beaches are man-made, and there's no real natural.
Everything is artificial, right?
Yeah. Even the parklands and all that, which are lovely botanical gardens and different area forests and that. But it is what it is as far as like it's far better than cleaner, safer than pretty well every city in Asia.
It's probably good for a week.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I would love to see all that new stuff. This new botanical garden they built. There was a super tree.
Oh, the Marina Bay. Mainly there's actually a botanical garden. It's quite old. It's actually up where all the bloody consulates are. So the consulates in this one area, like the US consulate's massive, and even the Australian one's quite big as well. But it looks like a fort, but a fort as in not. It doesn't look. It just looks strong. It doesn't look like it's like big fences and all that sort of stuff. There's a bit of that, but it's just the way it's been built. It's quite nice, but it's like big blocks and But
so you do go and visit once in a while.
Yeah, well, I usually when I go to Singapore, I was there a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I'll fly over on Friday and come back on a Monday week. So I go for 10 days. So I get 2 weekends in. So because Eileen works during the week and all that sort of stuff. So we get, I'll get off the plane and I'll go and meet her at work somewhere and all that sort of stuff. And she'll organise little things like the theatre and different. She's really good with doing that sort of stuff. She loves that, So yeah. When we met, we met here
in Vietnam.
Yeah, and she was staying at the Pullman. I met her there, and I took her out to one of the cafes here and that sort of stuff. And then we got together almost straight away, but she had like a drinks package and a meal package at the hotel, and we ended up having dinner there later and all that. But she had Hoi An, she had the cane forest tour and coffee making in Vietnamese coffee making in Hanoi. Hoi An. And it was for 2 people anyway, so it didn't cost any extra. She said, "Do you want to come?" So we went down there. She had the car already booked, and we went down there, and we had a fantastic time, And this video, so we went to the cane, with the little boats where they go around and they spin you around and all that sort of stuff.
You did that one?
Yeah. It was really good. The coffee making was excellent. Coffee, we did.
It's like a course, a half-day course.
Yeah. It's coffee making, like salt, egg, traditional, and the coffee we made is perfect, as good as any, better than I had the egg coffee. I love egg coffee, and it was really good. And I just wish, we got it on video and all that, so I can show you on video. But and then Eileen flew. I flew down the week later to Singapore and stayed there for the week, and then a couple of weeks after that, she flew here. And then we organised to do the lantern making. We made lanterns, so things like that. She loves to do that sort of shit. So it was good. But for me, I might not necessarily do it.
You said like 55?
Yeah, I'm 56.
56,
yeah.
And
she's 40.
Eileen's
40. Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
Kids?
No kids.
Former
No,
husbands?
she was married. Yeah, she was married. They had an annulled because Philippines, there's no such thing as divorce.
Right.
Yeah. So so technically she never got married.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way they do it.
Which is very difficult and expensive.
It can be. It's more difficult, obviously, the same as anywhere where the other person doesn't agree. If you have amicable split and you both decide, then it's relatively straightforward. Especially if you're Filipino. It's pretty straightforward. But there's a time period. There's all that sort of time period.
Yeah.
But the actual process itself is not difficult. But when you have, Eileen's files for the annulment, all this sort of stuff, and the other person doesn't agree, you've got to have affidavits and all sorts of stuff. And it's interesting. Yeah.
I heard the lawmakers in the Philippines, they're talking of introducing a divorce.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm going there. I'll be there this weekend, and it'll be interesting how religious it is, like with Catholics, aren't they? Catholic, yeah. But it just depends.
You fly to the Philippines?
Yeah. From Ho Chi Minh.
You take a domestic from here to Ho Chi?
Yeah. I go on Vietjet down there. We meet at the airport. Our planes come in about the same time.
She flies from Singapore. From Ho Chi Minh.
Yeah. And then we've got 2 nights in Ho Chi Minh.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 nights in Ho Chi Minh.
You flying to Manila?
Yeah. We fly to Manila, then get a bus to her parents' area or her dad's area. So
You've been there before?
No, I haven't been to the Philippines.
First time?
Yeah.
Meeting Dad?
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, we sort of we're only been going out for 5 months. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so.
So Dad, I believe, is somewhere in his early 60s.
Yeah, her dad is. I think he is. Yeah. Her dad is much younger than her mum. I think I think she's maybe 10, 15 years older than him as well. So the opposite and that. But yeah. No, but it was funny because I think I was over hearing the phone call. She spoke to her mum, and I was there sort of in the room, but we were just out. Well, I don't know where we were. We were out looking around in Singapore, and she was talking to her mum, and I just tucked my head like this. Who's that? And she goes like, yeah. And she tells her, like, her mum goes, like, obviously in Tagalog, I thought you weren't going to date anyone and all this sort of stuff. And all this sort of stuff, yeah. So it was interesting. But yeah, that's good, yeah. But it's a lot better at communications because the English is really good. But it's funny. It doesn't matter how good somebody speaks English, if it's not their main language, there's always this, especially with Australians, because we have a lot of slang and we cut our words off, and you know we shorten sentences down, and that we don't pronounce our words correctly, properly, or you know sometimes.
Depending where a guy from Australia is from,
Yeah.
I have difficulties understanding.
Yeah.
Right. So imagine somebody from here.
Yeah. So generally, obviously, when but it's the same. Like as you would have seen, it's the same with anybody from the same country. You're married to a South American, right? So I'm on, my God, like you said, it's like even if you could speak the language and you weren't like not fluent in it, but you knew a few words, you're going like, you know, there's no way you could.
Yeah, I know when I'm down there and people talk their normal speed and stuff, I'm totally lost. I have to tell you, you have to speak clearly and a bit slower.
Yeah.
Especially people that live on the coast.
Yeah. Okay.
They, by nature, speak double the speed than people from the capital.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's very famous.
Yeah.
They call it costeños, people from the coast.
Costeños, okay.
And Cubans are the same.
Yeah.
They have machine gun fire speech.
Have you been to Cuba? I want to go to Cuba.
I would love to.
Yeah.
If these people would get their shit together, because I'm telling you.
Is it difficult?
Yeah, there are two worlds. You're either in the tourist world, where you pretty much get everything what you want to have. You want a steak, you get a steak. You want a clean towel, you get a clean towel.
Yeah.
But they rob you blind on it.
Yeah.
They haven't yet the idea of bringing locals and tourists on the same level. The locals just live ridiculously, like people earning $40 a month.
Yeah. There's a large differentiation between the rich and there's a lot of countries like that.
And I stick to countries where I can to 50 to 80% live like a local. Like this restaurant. It is priced and it's hygienic enough for me to eat.
Yep.
Right? There are countries where you cannot eat where the locals eat because you get sick. Here it's clean, it's sanitary, and it's priced that a lot of locals come here.
Yeah.
So while I'm sitting here, I do how the locals do.
Yeah. I don't think you have to watch out as much in Vietnam, even though you might look at it and it's not as pristine and that. They're very hygienic, the Vietnamese. Even you can go anywhere.
In general, you can
eat anywhere here. It just depends. Sometimes, like I've had some food that I've gone, I just can't eat it. The intestines and I didn't know what I was ordered. I ordered something and it was just inedible.
How about the frog? Did you try that?
No, I haven't tried the frog. I haven't tried, but. Yeah, look, I know what I mean. Actually, you want to try the pho soup across the road, directly across from my hotel. It's like this, but 40,000 for the main bowl, and it's beautiful, really good. It's not minced beef. It's sliced beef, a little bit of fat sometimes. You know, it depends.
You're still here like what, 3-4 days?
There.
Here in town.
Yeah. I'm here until like. On Friday. I go on Friday afternoon, like about 4 o'clock. The flight's about 4 o'clock.
We go to the fur place.
Yeah. It's just right. I usually get not every night, nearly every night. It just depends. When I came back from Singapore, the problem is with Singapore is I can't really get an English. I love an English breakfast, like bacon, eggs, sausage, whatever. You know, I love that. When I'm in Singapore, you can't really get that. You can get lots of beautiful Western food, but not necessarily breakfast. Otherwise, way too expensive. Like, go to McDonald's and get the bloody egg muffin breakfast. I don't even bother, you know. I mean, that's okay in Australia, you know, when you want a cheap breakfast and all that sort of quick. But, like, I'll go into some of the, I've forgotten the name of it, just the eateries there in the suburbs and that. Get salmon. I usually get a salmon, grilled salmon, mashed potatoes and other stuff. And it's like, I don't know, probably pay about $10 for it. $10.
Right.
Singapore dollars.
Singapore dollars.
Yeah, but two nice big bits of Atlantic salmon.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
I've heard that food
Foods.
prices are not that outrageous in Singapore.
No.
What you spend is mainly on accommodation.
Accommodation, and the closer you get to the city, obviously, the food prices go up. But if you eat in a traditional food sort of place, it's not. We had a really nice breakfast. And the problem is in Singapore is the taxes get chucked on. So the price you see add another 20%. Okay, so it's usually 9, 10 and 9. 9's GST and 10% of service charge and that. So we had a beautiful, I'm going to show you photos. I had eggs, they didn't call it eggs Benedict, but it was with avocado and salmon. Beautiful, absolutely, it's probably the best eggs Benedict I've had in a long time. Beautiful, capers on top and just beautiful. And it was like 22 Singapore dollars.
How much is that?
Well, I mean that would in US dollars that would I don't know, probably be about 17 US dollars. It's about 25, 26 Australian dollars. So probably, but then you add another 20% tax.
Right.
The coffee was really good there. They had this coconut oil coffee. I tried that, and it tasted like coffee just with you could see the oil beads when you let it sit, the oil beads, because it wouldn't mix. It was really nice, and I was surprised it wasn't sweet. It wasn't just a hint, and then I had a normal white coffee, which was just like a cappuccino, flat white, and it was really good, really good. It was about $6, but that's a lot. It's still a lot when you convert it and you add the taxes to it. It's fucking $8, But you go to Starbucks there, and the Starbucks is $8. It's like Singapore. It's $10 coffee.
Yeah.
For me, and I'm like, in Australia we get pretty good coffee in most places. The cheapest you would pay for a nice normal coffee, strong, flat white, $5 Australian. Generally they're around about $6.50.
All right.
If you get a $6.57 for a larger mug, more mug size, but it depends on where you go. You got the smaller cup, then you got a same cup but just bigger, more like almost like a soup bowl, Not to a point, not quite that big, but because Australians love their coffee. It's very, very popular in Australia now, like coffee. There's a massive coffee culture in Australia. Coffee snobs, all this sort of shit. And then those other idiots that put,
Used to be a beer culture.
Oh, it still is a beer culture. But we're very much foodies. Australians are very much foodies. Yeah, I think now very much more cultured, enjoy their food, and enjoy the beer, enjoy coffee, and enjoy good, all those things good, and also too the same as like Germans. We love that home cook sometimes as well. We have the fancy, then we love that like sauerkraut and a bratwurst and the sausage and the mashed potato and beautiful, like you get a lovely home cooked hearty meal.
The thing is, in Germany you can't afford it anymore, and all these places close.
Yeah.
Because you have here's a Vietnamese, there's a Chinese, there's a Thai.
Yeah.
They're much cheaper. The food is much better digestible. Especially when you're an office worker.
Yeah.
You want to go down from your office, have a quick meal, and go back to work, and don't
some
fall
rice
into
and
a
something
food
else.
coma.
It's true.
So you go to a Thai.
Yeah.
And if you want to go really cheap, you go to a Turk.
Okay,
They
Turkish.
serve you a kebab, which is a bread sliced open. They put all kind of stuff in there.
A bit of meat, vegetables. Like a taco, basically.
A giant taco.
Like falafel.
That's €4.
Yeah, that's very popular. It doesn't matter where you go. It's like the Turkish one, and then there's heaps of versions of the taco burrito. Different. It's really good. There's a good one here too. Yeah, the gyros, same thing. Gyros, Greek. It's just basically a tortilla or a bread wrap in vegetables and salad, really. Salad and chicken or beef or whatever. Yeah, it's really good.
Coffee. That's the buzzword.
Yeah,
I like the one on the corner.
it's very good.
The coffee is
I
okay.
can take. It's very good. I can take you to another one's 40,000. That's 50, but it's very good. It's a big one
We
and
can
strong.
check the other.
But
What's
I can take you
important
this
for me,
one.
it's not only the quality of the coffee. Down on the corner, you sit enclosed.
Yeah, it's
so no-
enclosed here,
And there
but
too.
it's about 400 or 500 meters. So if you're walking,
No problem.
you can jump on the back, mate.
I jump on the back.
Yeah. It's
Then-
really good.
That's a rub here.
Yeah, well, I can point to another cafe if you're close. Thank you. Oh, you just. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you.
She mustn't be the one that does the artwork.
Look at that.
Yeah, but the one I had, I show you. I'll bring it up on maps because I did a review here. So it's sake. So just use. See, look at this.
Oh yeah. It's a matcha.
Yeah. It's similar. I've got near 900,000 views on my photos.
Right.
On my profile. I'm almost expert photographer. I got 815,000 views on there. From how many reviews have I done?
Oh, I didn't say hot, or I did say hot, right?
No, but salt coffee only it's only cold.
Only comes cold.
It's
Okay.
only cold. Yeah.
No biggie.
Yeah, you can. The egg coffee. Well, it's actually obviously the coffee's hot, but egg coffee can come hot.
It's okay.
Yeah, but if you want to get one of these are really good.
Sometimes I keep forgetting. I go into a coffee shop. I say, "Make me americano," and then it comes with ice and it's,
Oh yeah, it's just basic cafe den.
I wanted it hot.
If you want to get that, like if you want an americano like Vietnamese, it's just coffee cafe den. You know, it's really the same thing. You know, but really, cafe americano is just a shot of coffee with hot water.
Well, I usually take care that I get Arabica beans,
You don't like Robusta?
not Robusta.
Oh, you like Arabica?
Arabica.
Yeah, they're very Robusta here is very popular.
That's what they crop.
It's amazing. I didn't even know too, because for a couple of years there, they were the #1 exporter of coffee in the world.
Right.
Well, what I tend to do with mine is I do that, but the first bit I just take the
cream.
cream at the top. Is lovely.
That's one nice thing, the coffee culture.
Oh, it's really good. I like it.
First time in Colombia in 1991, I say, oh, finally I get the best coffee in the world, virtually for free.
Yeah.
I go into a shop, and it was awful.
Was it? Yeah.
And I say, oh, what is these? And they said, all the good coffee get exported.
Because they make more money out of it. That's what happened with like we had with China. We had there was a bit of a rift, and then they put tariffs on all these. We had a massive export of lobsters, You know, some of the companies basically 100%. So what ended up having like some wine, but mostly obviously steel and iron ore, not steel, iron ore and things like that. Because the Chinese wanted it, they didn't put tariffs. They didn't really restrict it because they wanted the steel, but then it did stop a little bit. But so it was really good. It was a bit like the pandemic where a lot of the medical products and things were made in China. We didn't know, the masks and all this sort of stuff, and really all that stuff was made in China. And we had to start making in Australia as well and all that sort of stuff. But that was the funny thing about toilet paper. The press was going, we make toilet paper here, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry, we're not going to run out because the shelves are bare. It's like, and then some people after the pandemic, or not after but when the restrictions come off, they had these rooms and they wanted to bring it back to the shops, and the shops said, no, you purchased that. Right? It's like, what do they think I'm going to do?
I remember a fight was breaking out. There comes a guy with his shopping cart full of toilet paper.
Yeah.
And other people start shoving him around. And you're a fucking idiot, What do you do with 5,000 rolls of toilet paper?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to last you, like, that's going to last you 10 years, or it's going to last you longer than 10 years.
What I did when I saw it coming, I know that if something is there, if a hurricane is coming, if a pandemic is around the corner, then you have like bottled water and toilet paper, and what else was it?
Oh, it was mainly toilet paper.
Right.
That was the thing, was like, there wasn't anything about like baked beans, cans of baked beans, like bags of rice. Like, for me, it's like you said, the water. I wasn't too worried about the water. In Australia, access to water is not an issue. I wasn't too worried about the water, but I did get some of that. But I bought a couple of bags of, 5 kilo bags of rice or something like that. Some bit of rice just in case, And then I bought some canned products, Right. It's just the people. There were so many people. It was funny because so many people that I spoke to went, "What the fuck are these people doing?" But yet there was enough people that thought it was so important to get toilet paper. The shelves were bare.
Right.
And
we have this famous German chain.
Aldi.
Aldi.
Yeah.
And they got in.
Yeah, we have it in Australia.
And when the first time I've sensed this is not going to be a normal flu that it's over in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I went to the store. I bought 2 big bags of toilet paper. I put one away. I put one in the bathroom.
See, the way I look, it sort of opened my eyes up because I'm a massive pro science, like vaccines and all that, at the start of the pandemic, right? Because I'm going on my knowledge from past events and a lot of the vaccines that we've had in the past and all that sort of stuff. But the way I sort of put it is like, the exposure to that sort of thing is like the control that they ended up wanting to have. At the start, it's like this. A lot of people that are real skeptical about everything, like the anti-vaxxers. Like, there's anti-vaxxers and people that are just like, nah, they really fucked up this time. They forget about it. It's not just across the board with medical stuff. It's not so much isolated, but it's certain key things that the pharmaceutical drugs community have done with a lot of drugs that, at the end of the day should be illegal. Like some of the heart medication, statins and a few other things like that statins are good, but not for the amount of people that they give them to. They don't really do anything. And like this.
You never forget, medicine is not there to make you healthy. Medicine is there to make money for the stockholders.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much about, like, obviously there's certain things that, like blood pressure medication and things like this, but there's other ways. There's other things you can do to reduce the risks of having those things, and there should be more concentration on good food and all this sort of stuff. So but when obviously you've got to have things in place for when people do get sick and legitimately need it. But there needs to be a lot more done about trying to prevent people from getting sick.
It's the same what you're saying. It's the same as Ritalin.
Yeah.
It is useful for a very small number of ADHD
Yeah, for sure.
patients.
Yeah.
And there was a decade where they
Just gave it out like lollies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like candy. And obviously in different countries it was a lot worse because it's more, the whole thing with America is, as you're saying, and they know, is they've got the highest expenditure on the medical professions, highest expenditure, but the lowest outcome of average age. Death is they've got the lowest death rate. Sorry, the lowest age average death rate. What do you call it? I don't even know what the word is.
Expectancy.
Life expectancy is the lowest in all the OECD countries. But yet they've got the highest expenditure it's almost double of the second country.
When I was in the States, my doctor wanted to put me on statins. And I said, I'm not going to take that stuff.
Yeah.
There has to be another way. Plus that my cholesterol was on the upper acceptable level. It wasn't even high.
Yeah.
So, he said, you can make lifestyle changes. And I said, why you don't offer me that first?
Yeah.
And he said, because my patients don't listen anyway.
Yeah, there is a bit of that. It's because it was the same thing. It's the same thing with antibiotics. So when someone gets the flu or whatever, they ask for antibiotics. That the doctors know that the antibiotic's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Your body's got to get over it over certain periods. Different. You've got a virus. Is it viral? I can never remember. It was viral.
A German doctor told me that because when I was there the first couple of times, more than 20 years ago, I'm returning back to Germany. I'm looking out the doctor. I have somebody say, yeah, the guy looks trustworthy. And I tell him my story, right? What I have on problems and this and that. And he checks me up. And then we were talking about antibiotics.
Yeah.
And he said, there are people coming in here.
Yeah.
And if they don't get out of my practice with a prescription of antibiotics, they're not coming back.
I
would lose.
It's the problem. The problem is you've got these people that go to seek medical thing, and unless they get what they think, but that also comes from media, and they think that's what's going to solve it. It's the same as religion. And religion's there to give people peace of mind, and if they get a prescription in that person's mind, it gives them peace of mind.
Right.
I mean, it's whether it does any good. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter as long as they're mentally happy. There's no stress.
Fun fact is with doctors, they ask you, what about your alcohol consumption? And if you tell him, I don't drink, he understands that you're not an alcoholic.
Yeah.
That you are a social drinker.
Yeah.
A beer here and maybe a little party there. And then the next time I've been to my doctor and he somewhat mentioned about alcohol consumption. So remember, doc, I told you I don't drink. What I meant by that, I'm not drinking one drop. I absolutely don't drink. Really?
There's very few people that do that. My dad used to say you got to worry. You worry about people that don't drink, and there's definitely a certain truth to that because generally they were alcoholics and they can't drink. Generally, people who don't drink, especially in Australian culture and German as well, same thing. Germans in Australia have very similar culture especially around drinking and food. I think they're very, very similar cultures, German and Australian. And he used to always say, you always worry about people who don't drink. He said, there's usually a reason. Right? And born again Christians.
That's also in the Philippines. In the Philippines, hey, come over, have a beer with us.
Yeah.
And I don't like to sit with Filipinos that drink because usually they get pretty silly.
Yeah.
So I excuse myself and say, guys, I don't drink. And
it can happen in Australia as well.
And then they think you're a religious nut.
Yeah.
And then you can be a teetotaler without being religious.
No. It's true. Yeah, but it's rare. See, that's the thing, is that when you're an anomaly, you got to accept that there's very few people that don't drink, especially men, and a lot of times the people who don't drink, they can't drink because they're usually alcoholics or it affects them or whatever. it's just there's not many people that choose not to drink, if you know what I mean, especially in a culture like ours. So you sort of got to accept. Sometimes you got to accept that sort of a little bit. It's just because it's just weird. It's like
Especially expats that are around here.
Oh, for sure.
Because you kind of rip yourself out of your surroundings. You
Yeah.
come to a new place. Worse if you go to Pattaya.
oh yeah,
As a guy, what do? You go into a bar,
Yeah.
trying to meet some people,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it starts with one beer.
yeah.
You come back a year later, and the guy is
Alcoholic. he's in there every day.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Look, but some people, it's like anything. Some people are really susceptible to drugs. It doesn't matter what it is. They have that compulsive tendencies. You know, some people, and there's other people like myself that can drink, have a binge, and then drink a couple of days, and then have a couple of days that don't have any, and then, you know, there's and then you got Australian culture. Then you got, you know, it's acceptance as well. The same thing would happen in Germany. It's just like you're sort of like an ostracized, an outcast of a group.
Not anymore.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's sort of when we were younger.
Late into the 60s, if you don't drink, you were a weirdo,
Yeah.
right? So, and there was a day, you can see it on the internet. There was a level of alcohol consumption, and there was one particular day when the lawmaker introduced the 0.08 law.
0.08, yeah, okay.
Right?
0.05 in
Exactly
Australia.
when that law got into effect, that you cannot drink and drive anymore. Woof. The
Well, ours is
alcohol
0.05.
consumption-
Ours is 0.05.
But I think
Yeah.
more in Germany now too.
Yeah.
And even if you have 0.03 and you cause an accident,
Yeah.
you get blamed.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem.
But it was really funny because now a lot of people don't drink because they like it. It's to socialize.
Yeah, I enjoy beer. I enjoy a gin. Like I like the gin. I get upset here because the tonic water it's Schweppes. They only got one tonic water, which is Schweppes, and it's different to what I get in Australia. So if I can buy Schweppes in Australia, it's a different, tastes different.
Really?
It's not as the one here is terrible. And you don't, like in Australia, you've got all the no-name brands. So Coles and Woolworths make their own tonic water. It's pretty good. $1 for 1 litre, you know, $1.50.
What's in tonic water anyway?
Quinine. The quinine's in it, but that's to do with scurvy and that. So originally, the reason why gin and tonic, is all to do with the shipping back in the day. So I'm getting scurvy and it's the same with oranges and citrus and different things like that. A lot of the history of like alcohol, is like beer. Beer was, they turned water into beer because for sterilisation,
Right.
to clean the water, basically. So all these things that we have, it's like when I talk to people like, you know, I talk to them like you know, the Bible and they, and because I'm not religious at all, but I talk to them and say, look, the Bible is basically just the nursery rhymes, stories, nursery rhymes, no different than Ring a Ring a Rosie, pocket full of posy with tissue. That's about the Black Plague. Bring out your dead, all the nursery rhymes are dark. They're from dark places. They're from things that happened in your history, that they're storytelling of different things that happen, and they morph. The songs are morphed. You know, it's not accurate, but it's a way of passing the information down to a certain extent. You know, and that's all the Bible was. You know, done. You know, it's just sort of stories of, you know, some accuracies and some not so much accurate. You know what I mean?
You know, a couple letters where people wandered from one place to another, and they wrote a letter, how they did it and how long they were on the way.
Yeah. It's like anything. Everybody knows about Chinese whispers. You know, the story starts here. You know, you do it at school. You have the experiment at school where they have a line. You know, the kids in the class, and the story's written down, and that kid's got to turn around and tell exactly the same. And this is how it ends up.
Silent post.
Yeah, but it's called Chinese whispers. So it's like by the time it gets to the end, it's completely changed.
Right, yeah. We played
So-
this as kids.
Yeah, so
We
it was
call
more an
silent
experience.
post.
Yeah, okay.
You whisper to somebody and he to the next
Mm-hmm.
one, and everybody understands something different.
Yeah. Or the way that they explain what they heard, as opposed to just literally saying exactly what you heard. You know.
And these old texts, they've been translated from
Mm.
Aramaic into Old Greek, into whatever, and into Hebrew,
Mm.
and into...
It was funny, like they were saying something about Jesus meant something else, like the word meant. Yeah, I saw it. I got into it a long time ago. I got into this one. I just somehow went down this rabbit hole. It was a good rabbit hole, but it was about whether Jesus actually existed at all. And the actual consensus through even religious scholars is that there may not have even been a Jesus at all. And
I'm
they,
pretty convinced there were.
Yeah.
Because
you know,
you have these old story that somebody who is a kind of God or son of God comes down to earth, and he's getting killed.
Yeah.
Then he's dead for 3 days, and he comes back to life.
Yeah.
This story repeats itself
Yes.
throughout 60. The old Aramaic people had it. They have different names, and it's different kinds. How the
Paganism has a similar thing. As
Right.
pagans have the same thing.
the godson died different ways.
Yeah. But basically the same son.
he was always 3 days dead.
Where's
You know where that
erected?
comes from?
No, where's it come from?
You've seen, especially in Eastern European pictures.
Yeah.
You see this face of Jesus with his halo.
Yeah, the halo. Yeah.
Actually, what that is in the original, it's the sun.
Yeah.
And somebody painted a face on it,
Yeah.
which later morphed into Jesus with the halo.
Yeah.
It's actually the sun personified.
Yeah.
And the cross that is behind it
Yeah, crucifix.
is the sun with a calendar, and the cross makes the year into spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And
Seasons.
And where do the 3 days come from?
Yeah.
On December 24, 25, and 26, the sun reaches its shortest point in the year, in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah.
And it stays there for 3 days.
Yeah.
And if you look where the sun
At
goes
the
down,
summer solstice.
No, solstice.
Winter solstice, yeah.
and if you look where the sun goes down, you have 4 stars that are like a little slanted cross, right? The cross of the south.
Yeah.
So it's not a person.
Yeah, it's
that
like
was
Southern
killed.
Cross. Yeah.
The sun died under the cross.
Yeah.
And after 3 days, when it moves further to summertime, when the days get longer again, in the beginning, just a few minutes, this is coming back to life.
Yeah, and there's another one I like when I was listening to Joe Rogan. They were talking about because the monks or the scholars, the religious scholars, they were the only ones that had access to psychedelics. So the psychedelics, so the ministers, like this is going back a long time, but they were the only ones that had access. It was like the Bible and the religious text. They were the only ones that could read it and things like that. So originally, what they were saying is they had access to the different psychedelics and that, and then the religious people would go on trips, go a psychedelic trip and all this sort of stuff. And what he was saying is they're sort of extrapolated to say that like the Christmas tree is like this. There's where the psychedelics come from. Those mushrooms that are red with the dots on it.
Right.
A lot of the psychedelic things come from that tree that has those things, and it's to represent the presence underneath the tree. Things like this, whether it's true or not, but it's interesting, like, because there's that mushroom that has the red with the white dots on it, like where you get those,
That grows in my country.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, there's just all these little stories, and like the funny thing is, I followed American politics, and the reason I really didn't align myself with Republicans over the years, a long time ago, is because the religious, because they're they pretend. But a lot of them are very ultra religious people, and very legitimate.
They pretend.
Oh, look, most of them are pretty religious to a
I
thing.
don't know them personally. But,
Yeah, like the way they talk, they're using, whether it's just, look, at the end of the day, they're all being brainwashed as kids, and they grew up that way, and that's fine, you know. But the problem is that I had was that they had the most common sense. It was like, for me, I just fucking couldn't get my head around it. You got these people that are so intelligent, so commonsensical, normal, yet they have this other side that they can't see how that is the opposite of this other, the way their brain. I don't understand. Yeah.
You
Well, it's faith. It's faith.
You can easily understand. You have these people that are Trump supporters. You have these religious nuts. You have the Mormons in Utah, and you can explain to them. And if you have an intelligent person, he or she will understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And will maybe even go as far as saying, "Yeah, I'll give you the reason." But they will always fall back. Why is that? Very simple. Because where there is reason, where there is intellect, that's the outer and the latest part of our brain. For a caveman, it was not important to be an intellectual and be
just food and shelter
and be a guy of science and reason. The most important for the caveman was the belonging of the group.
Yeah, okay.
If somebody fucked up in gentle society and the group told him get lost, he was dead.
Acceptance.
He was dead.
Yeah.
You could only survive if you stayed with the group.
Yeah.
So the most important thing, because that's the old brain in us, that's the much older brain than our modern intellect.
That's the reason why racism flourished.
Like, I am belonging to this group, whatever, be it an ethnic, be it a political thing, be it a religion. And to get out of that group, it takes so much effort. Because the strongest urge.
You die. Back in the day, you die.
It's belonging to the group. And you always have to, if you talk to somebody and he is obviously in a corner where it's just not reasonable, like there are people that believe the earth is flat, really. The flat earth is, I mean, this is ridiculous.
So they all sort of link, some of that stuff it links, and then it links, but then you've got on the same side is you've got the progressives. You've got the progressives that don't understand that males and females have XY chromosomes. And that's the
other extreme.
And it's like, you know, there's a what's the word for it? What's the word when it's broad? There's instead of saying there's a variation in females and variation in males of femininity and masculinity. So there's a variation within each sex. It's two sexes, simple as that. There's very tiny variations on XY chromosomes. Some, there is, but all of those
How do you call this 1 in a million people?
Hermaphrodites.
Yeah.
But even then, they all lean one way or the other.
Right.
And they can be classified in the thing. So instead of saying we have a variation in how many sexes there are, which is fucking crazy, and you've got one of the best scientists ever, Neil deGrasse Tyson, trying to talk rubbish. And he's such a fucking smart guy, and he gets out of his thing and he's talking about, we should have Olympics based on testosterone and all this sort of stuff. No, the test should be, I heard somebody say the other day, which is really good, test should be chromosomes only. Are you this? Are you that? And it's as simple as that. That's
right
where you are.
I call these people that are trying to invent 27 different sexes. I call them the social justice warriors.
Oh yeah, well that's what they are. Yeah.
And this is the other extreme. You have these.
The difference between kindness and empathy. Empathetic. I'm an empathetic person. I'm not a kind person. I want you to learn to change a tire. I'm not going to do it for you.
Right.
It's the thing is that all these fucking woke fucking idiots want to do everything, because this is the whole thing I was talking to you the other day, is societies, when they die out, because they've got nothing to complain about. These people, there's nothing hard. They're intellectuals and all this sort of stuff. But they're being taught, they're being brainwashed in university from a young age. Even like some of the fucking subjects in there that they're paying money for is just utter bullshit. And it's been going on for years. And what happens is these people have got into politics. They've got into politics.
They're policymakers then.
It's like, we were talking about people in the 80s. This, you know, you've got good things like the Black Panthers, you've got different things like the anti-war movement for Vietnam and all this sort of stuff. And then it morphs into just fucking, you know, like, why are we in this country? Because obviously the reasoning was obviously, you know, communism and all. You can't, it's, you know, ideology. We're going to fight an ideology, which that's fine. There's not necessarily nothing wrong with that, but how do you go about it? You either go and get in another country, you've got to stop them here and kill hundreds of millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people. You know what I mean? There's like, we get protests, peaceful protests, and then the government of the day comes up with different, we're going to ban marijuana, we're going to ban all this sort of stuff, simply because they're trying to control a segment that were against the war. But this banning has ramifications through the whole of society. People going to jail over minor incidents. Then the jails become corporatised as opposed to not state-run, become corporatised. Then they're profit. So they need their customers. They need their all this sort of stuff. It's just
Wasn't
fucking
it,
madness.
a movie of Michael Moore, Prison Planet?
Yeah.
Like the US after the Soviet Union was the country in the world that had most prisoners per capita.
But the problem is with people like Michael Moore is they've got really good ideas and then they mix it in with. They're no worse than pseudoscience. It's just pseudoscience. So they've got facts and then they fall into the woke, the kind, and all this sort of stuff. Like they go, you know, the border. You can't have a proper border. You can't have checks and balances over people coming in. And it's all about no, all these people deserve to be looked after. And not only that, these people deserve to be looked after more than the people that are already in our own country.
You know,
This is the
how
thing.
I interpret this kind of problem. You ever heard of Albert Schweitzer?
I've heard of the name.
A
I've heard of that.
European that went to a town of Lambaréné in Africa,
Lumber,
somewhere in the jungle. And he built a hospital.
Yeah.
He dedicated his life
Yeah.
as a spiritual person, as a doctor, to help these poor black people in Africa. Now he labored, I don't know, for 40 years having his hospital there, which on the surface sounds good, you know. These people had no Western medicine, and if somebody cut his finger and got infected, he could go to that hospital. Sounds nice, right?
Yeah.
But if you think of it, what this guy and 100 others did in Asia,
that island in the middle of
Africa,
some
all these poor places, they lowered the infant mortality, which led to population increase. Right?
Yeah.
And then, because again of ideology, or we can't give these people condoms, right? Because whatever.
Yeah,
So-
religious reasons.
Since the last 100 years, the world
Because a lot of those people are religious
population
people.
exploded.
Yeah.
And today, you haven't solved the problem; you have multiplied it. And this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, instead of sort of a progressive population increases like that, but that also falls into the thing of capitalism, because you've got to get the client, you've got to get the customers. Growth. This growth. Like this is the people. It's like people like Jordan Peterson, right? Very good, very smart guy in his field on that. But then you talk to him about, like, do we need to have population control or whatever? And he goes, and he comes from a religious point of view. You understand? His common sense goes out the window. He says, oh no, we don't have a problem with, and even Elon Musk is an extremely smart guy. He says, look, we've got plenty of resources. Look,
You know Jordan Peterson, I like his old stuff on YouTube.
Yeah,
You can
he's very good.
watch stuff that he did 10 years ago,
Yeah,
5 years ago.
Yeah.
And somewhere down the line, he went totally off the rocker.
I don't think he's off the rails. I just think what happened with him is he's always been religious, and he knew that he had to hide it. He wouldn't commit to saying whether he was or he wasn't, because I've watched him for a long time. So basically, right from the word of what happened with Canada, where he's going to get put on trial for compelled speech and all that. It's like the same thing with Neil deGrasse Tyson stepping out of their profession, out of their field of study. Same with Jordan Peterson. He's stepping into it. He's going, because he's religious, he's using that, but then he's mixing in with his extremely knowledgeable about sociology and all that sort of stuff. He's extremely knowledgeable. Obviously, that's his profession. Done it all his life. He's very, very good at explaining it, and he knows the textbooks. He knows all of that. You know.
I'm watching his stuff for quite a while, and I think the guy has a good point.
Yeah. For sure.
He did something against non-binary people and woke, and then he said it's bullshit, and he got attacked really hard. And he defended himself. He said, "I'll say what I want, you know, and I'm right."
But also too, it's the same thing. Is if somebody wants to be called by X, Y, Z, and they tell me, then I'll do that because that's.
But then, a year later or so, he started. I saw one thing where he had kind of what's it called, an epiphany. And then I was thinking, it's gonna start. It's gonna, and then
he got on the religious. He got on the religious thing, but he's still pretty good on certain aspects of politics and all that because, what I've learned in recent over the last 5 years or so is that even a flat earth, think of it like this, even a flat earther, right? And I'm just going to the extreme. Is for me, years ago I would have gone, this person who thinks like this, I would have thrown them out. I wouldn't have even considered even talking to them. And what I've learned is that even...
I think they're going to go to the other one there, right? Yeah. Hey, let me make a break. I have to go to the toilet. I think it's over there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, through there, I think, Do you want grab want to order another
I'll have another
cappuccino?
I have what you have, but
I've got. I think I got 512 on this one.
That's a big one.
I bought this. I travelled last year, and I bought this phone with the package with the Vodafone in Australia, and it's like a $2,000 phone. But I got the top of the range one, the Ultra S23, but with the pen, thinking because I was going to work and do this, but mobile phone, the software, it's pretty useless, really. It works okay, but it's not. Some of the mobile software is not the best for doing contracts and different things like that. Unless you pay fucking subscriptions for every fucking little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like fucking.
You mentioned that you are semi-retired.
Yeah. I've still got my business communications, phone systems and
phone systems.
Yeah,
so you're an expert
about
in these.
Yeah, sort of like business telephone systems and IP and all that IP.
And so to ask that insight, what is a typical customer of yours? Is that a private person? Is that a company?
Most of mine are more SMEs, small medium enterprises or small business. Yeah, small.
And what do they
like
need?
A panel beater.
What do they need? What do they want?
Oh, look, depending on how many people are in the business, basically a business telephone system somewhere, it's almost like can be used like an intercom system. It can be used transferring calls between people in offices, just things like that. Obviously, usually when they've got staff of about 5, whatever, even, small. The good thing with IP or what we call hosted phone systems now is they're relatively cheap because you don't need a physical box on the wall anymore. You could have I've got a client as a real estate agent. He's got one phone, but I was able to work out he needed a phone number in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane.
Right.
And you need an outbound number and an inbound number. So that's just a particular number. So Sydney number, in and outbound, Melbourne number, in and outbound, Brisbane number, in and outbound. I've got all those numbers registered on his software for his phone. Key set up, so when he wants to ring a client in Melbourne, he presses that key, it sends the caller ID from that number.
Right.
So when they answer, they think, basically the reason why he's doing that, he lives on the Gold Coast, he's just doing it so that his presence is in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, from a professional point of view. Because he's an advisor, he was like a broker, like a real estate broker. He might find properties for people and things like that as well. Right. So he would work out.
So you're selling more or less software?
Yeah, software and physical equipment. And when I was there, it was installation as well, support. Like mainly support comes from the guys I work with who do the software in the background, a company called Localcom. So I'm just a dealer for them and I work with them.
Somebody that lives here, he has an IT company.
Yeah.
And he has 2 guys working for him in the US. Where if somebody needs to go to the company to set up hardware so they can do it. Do you have something similar?
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, the good thing about a hosted platform is as long as they've got IT support or somebody that's knowledgeable about it, all you need is an internet connection. And the phones, a lot of the Yealink phones, which are Chinese, they're the number one. They're the number one selling phone in the world. They have about 25-30% of the market share around the world.
That's big.
Yealink. They're a Chinese brand, Chinese made, unreal phone, really good. Yealink.
I mean, I'm in Australia, I'm a broker, and I'm moving into a new office. I call you up, I want to give you business. Now, you could send me without being present, you could send me a box with a telephone. So just
they get it. Just plug it into the network or Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, the phones actually have Wi-Fi ability.
That's simple enough that even a non-technical person can do that.
Relatively, yeah.
So you will send them a box.
Yeah, technically, exactly.
And then
right.
you set up the software.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Don't get a lot. The problem is, like, my website's not done. I'm not really after new clients anymore. I could do that. I'm just not proactive in that way because I just don't want the hassle much now. Like I'm getting trial and commission and just look after the existing clients.
You generate revenue from your existing.
Yeah. So I'm getting trial and commission.
Buy something like a monthly subscription for your service.
They just, basically it is. They pay very much like phone calls. Phone calls are not bundled in, but it's part of it. They pay. It might be $9 for each registration. Once they get over 10, the 10th above is $5 registration for each handset. So the registration, but that gets some software that can do anything. Voicemail. Even you pay a little bit extra for predictive dialer or predictive dialing, multi-level call. Routing coming in, things like that, where you have voice commands, like a massive, like a hospital or whatever, dial this for that, go through this, that. This software can do any of that.
All right.
Even for one handset. That's the beauty of it. It's the power of that is the software. We might have clients that have hundreds of endpoints, and then we'll have, like I said, we'll have one person. But he has the ability to have all that. That's the beauty of it, because in the older systems, the older style, which was equipment in the office of that place, a phone system that could do that would be tens of thousands of dollars. But now all of the main phone systems and that, it's just software driven. And with IP, it makes it a little bit more expensive, but then it reduces the cost in other ways, if you understand what I mean.
You don't need the hardware anymore.
Yeah, but the thing is with that $9 a month, that includes support. You know what I mean? So if things go wrong or whatever, And yeah, it's made it for somebody like me who was a sole trader. It gave me the ability to be able to do quite complex, if I needed to, and look after quite large businesses. But yeah, the only thing they need is IT, and everybody has IT, because I'm only doing the communication side of it. Anyway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's 40, right? That's 40.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good price for good coffee.
Yeah.
I've seen prices up to 55, 60 some places. But the difference here is it's good coffee. Strong. Yeah, so look, so I've got my phone system set up on my phone. So I've got my own here. So just log. And that's an extension on my phone system. So I can make calls in Australia from a local number.
This is using now your data
And
from here.
Yeah.
It's over
Obviously,
IP.
just needs an
Voice
internet.
over IP.
Yeah. It's just IP. It's not even voice over IP because it's just linking to the software in Brisbane. And it does texting as well. But the beauty of what I've got set up is I've got a mobile number set up on my phone system. So what I've done is before I left Australia, I got a 12-month contract for my existing mobile phone number. So it's number, and I forward it to my other mobile phone number.
At the same time, you're also receiving some form of pension?
No, I won't get a pension. I'm not old enough. I'm only 56. Pension kicks in at 67 in Australia now. And it's
They do that in Germany as well. It was 65 there.
it went to 67. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Now they plan to do it up to 70,
Yeah.
Don't ever dare to take money out of the system. Just pay in.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is the thing. Is
And then
like
work
all these
until you
people
drop.
that have, I mean, it's a bit different for people my age. We were at the start when I was going through I was at the start of the concept that you had to, we paid into superannuation guarantee was supposed to go to 12% of your salary. And it started out at 9%. I think it's at 10 or whatever. But you were basically what happens is a lot of people don't understand or forget is Tim. Hey, mate.
How's it going, mate?
Good, mate.
What are you doing?
I'm in a coffee shop, mate.
Let's get a microphone on your neck.
Yeah, no, we're doing a video.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Well,
For some YouTube content.